You're listening to KPFT, Houston 90.1 on the dial. If you're down in Galveston, pick us up at 89.5. Our friends in Huntsville, Texas, East Texas, and beyond, 91.9. It is time for Songwriter Studio. I am your host, Tom Tranchilla. We've got a jam-packed hour ahead of us. We're going to start out with my good friend John Batdorf, who's going to be coming to town just here in a week or so. And after that, we've got brand new music from George Ensle, who also will have a CD release party coming up. Without further ado, our friend John Batdorf. John, how are you?
I'm doing great, Tom. It's been a while. It's great to be back on the radio with you.
Seemed like for a while there I had you on the show about once a year. You kept releasing new records. Now you've shifted gears. You're releasing them as singles now, and I just downloaded a couple of your brand new songs. Tell us why the shift, full record album versus the singles.
Maybe it takes me a little longer than others, but the fact that CDs are almost like cassettes now. The only reason people buy the CDs is like as a keepsake, and you can autograph it. But everybody streams, unfortunately, and pretty much no one is buying any kind of CDs and stuff. So I thought, I'm just going to put them out, going to quit swimming upstream and just start releasing songs as I finish them and put them up and see what happens.
Well, you're going to be in town, like I said, in about a week to 10 days. Check your calendars on that, and I'm going to let you talk about that, John. But first, let's start off with the interview with one of my favorite songs. We discussed a little off mic. You had released a portfolio album, a greatest hits of Batdorf and Rodney back in, I think it was 2013, about 12 years ago. Every song on the double disc album were hits, all excellent songs. And one of the opening tracks, second track actually, Home Again, was one of the very first songs that turned me on to Batdorf and Rodney. We're going to play that and then get into the interview.
Great.
sought instead of chasing. Time to slow down, no more racing. Spend some life at home embracing. In harmony, everything around is ringing. Happiness at last found me. Happiness at last found me. At last found me. Happiness at last found me. My life, I've waited for this day. I am home again. Oh, my life, you help me find the way. I am home again.
Home again. I would say brand new music by John Batdorf, but this is an old track by Batdorf and Rodney. And John, this is one of the very first songs I heard on the radio, and I immediately fell in love with your music. The harmonies, the soaring vocals by John Batdorf, beautiful guitar work by Mark Rodney. You guys were so tight and very, very popular back through the 70s. And since then, you've gone on your own, and you've had quite the career. Let's talk a little bit about you getting in and doing the soundtracks for television.
Well, I did records all the way up to 1981. I did a single for 20th Century Fox label, their record company, and I did a remake of Be My Baby. And I thought, well, this is great. I get to start my solo career. Well, the record label went under right before the record came out. So I met a guy when I was making the record, and he goes, "Hey, do you ever sing commercials?" And I said, "No, I never thought of it." He goes, "Well, there's these new guys from Seattle, and you might want to get them your reel." And then I found out that they were fans of Batdorf and Rodney, so I started doing commercials. And then I ended up starting to make commercials because I thought, gosh, I've written songs my whole life. I should be able to write something that's 30 seconds long. Then I did that for a while, and I did a little thing for my friend Michael McLean, which was a soundtrack for this book he wrote called Distant Serenade. And it came out really great. And so there was an opportunity for me to submit to a new TV show that was a spinoff of Touched by an Angel. This was like 1996. And I thought, well, I don't really have much of a chance, but I'll give them this soundtrack that I did. And it turns out I had more of a chance than I thought, and eventually got the gig. And I worked 3 years on Promised Land, which is a show with Gerald McCraney was the star. It was because it was Touched by an Angel, and the people really liked the work I did. They knew I always came through for deadlines. They kept me on at Touched by an Angel for 4 more years. And then I did a couple of TV movies, and then I got a call from James Lee Stanley, and we started recording again. So it's been a really, not exactly a straight line, but it's been a really fun ride.
And since that time, you've recorded about an album a year. I would know this because I would do the interviews about every 12 months of your new release. So glad to have you back. If you're just tuning in, John Batdorf is my guest, and we will be interviewing George Ensle right after that, so please stick around. Let's talk about some of your new music. I've got a couple of your singles I've downloaded. We're going to start out with Suffering, and you are really keeping in touch with current times, John. There's so much turmoil in the world right now, and division, and Suffering kind of deals with the world injustice and the suffering. I do want to mention your vocals. You are unbelievable. You're soaring vocals, hitting the high notes after all these years doing music. Most people your age can no longer hit the high notes. It seems like every time I receive new music from you, you're hitting higher notes. Crystal clear. Talk a little bit about your conditioning for vocals.
Well, when I was doing commercials, I thought, because you do a lot of different sessions, and I thought I need to learn how to preserve what I have, because I have a gift of a voice that goes up to about a high D, and I thought I don't want to start losing that. So I went to a guy named Robert Edwards, who was teaching a lot of people voice techniques. And when he heard me, he says, I don't want to change anything about your voice. I just want to make sure you can keep it for as long as you need it. So we worked on warm-ups and warm-downs and all these little techniques that I didn't really know about. Also, the fact that, if you're a singer, you can't be staying up all night. You can't be drinking and doing whatever all night, because you're going to ruin your voice. So I've always been disciplined enough to take care of what I have, because I don't want to lose the impact of the high notes, because there's a reason why you wrote the song and the melody in that key, because it just shows off your voice. And when you start lowering keys, I think it changes everything, because I hear a lot of people that I loved when I was younger, and now they're doing stuff down about a third, and it just doesn't have the same impact it had in the original keys. So thank goodness I'm still singing in the original keys from even the records in the 70s, because I've taken care of myself. That's pretty much what you have to do, is just honor the gift.
Let's listen to the new single. We've got a couple of them to play. We're going to start out with Suffering. Give a little background on this track.
Well, as a writer, you're inspired by a lot of stuff. And this is really one of the more, it kind of reminds me of the early 60s, when there was just so much stuff going on and so much division. Everybody takes a side and they're fighting and fighting and fighting. And the thought that if we could just come together and just help people get through this, no matter where they're from, what side they're on, that is the best path to get back. So that's what this song is about. And it's funny, I did a rough vocal right when the lyric finished. I sang it, and I usually go back and redo the vocal. And I played it back. I go, what would I change? It was one of those vocals that just happened when I did the demo, and I was just trying to see how the song felt. But I thought, gosh, it feels so passionate. Just leave it. And I did.
And I'm glad you did. Brand new single by John Batdorf. This is Suffering.
Today there's suffering all around the world. Today the pain is everywhere. But until now I've kept it where I could just sidestep the suffering more than anyone can bear. But now I'm carrying a burden that is far too heavy, more than I have ever known before. And in my newfound suffering, somehow my heart's been expanding, making room to help you carry yours. Today there's suffering all around the world, and I'm connecting to it all. And from the pain I'm feeling, how can I
John Batdorf, brand new single, Suffering. He will be coming to town. John, why don't you talk a little bit about the house concert you've got scheduled to play?
Well, I've been doing this for so many years, and I've just decided that this will probably be my last year that I travel cross country to play. And I had these gigs booked, starting in Lubbock and going to Galveston and then up to Edam. I just really wanted to do them, and just from now on, I think I'm just going to be driving places where I can drive to in the West, because it's hard now. It's extremely hard. I'm 73 years old, but I'm looking forward to going back to the Johnston Studio House concerts. James Lee Sandy and I played there close to 20 years ago. They like me so much they're having me back 20 years later. So I think, and it's in Galveston, and it's run by a couple, Pam and James Johnson. And I guess the show is on Saturday, December 6th at 7:30. Anybody is interested, you could call either James or Pam. James' phone number is 936-661-6332. And Pam, you can reach at 936-661-4313. And you can always check on my website for information in case you didn't have a chance to write that down. But it's a really cool series. It's been going on for a long time. I'm really happy to come back and do it.
And they're so nice. The Johnsons are so accommodating and just friendly folks.
Yeah, I met them at Swerfo, like my first time I came to Texas, go to the conference, and because James knew them. And we played the Wood and Stone stuff in their room, and they really liked both of us. And yeah, they're very, very nice.
We're going to play another brand new track, Time Bombs. Give the listening audience a little background on this track.
Well, it's funny. This was not funny so much, but there was so much tension on the planet at that time. Everywhere. There's wars everywhere, and people fighting here in the United States. And I just felt like there had to be an explosion, like a time bomb. This was so much tension. And we mentioned the story before we went on the air about, I write with my friend Michael McLean, who lives near Park City in Utah. We were just mixing this song, and I sent him the newest mix that I was going to send out to mastering. And he was driving down to Provo, had the mix on, listening to it, and he said he just passed the university where Charlie Kirk was speaking that day. And he was 4 minutes past when he was assassinated. And he went, oh my God, how did we know? This was the time bomb we thought was coming. And it was really freaky for us because I didn't even know who he was. And next thing you know, he's assassinated. And gosh, it was scary stuff.
Let's listen to that track right now. Brand new single, John Batdorf. This is Time Bombs.
The clock keeps ticking, it's been so sickening since the first stone was thrown. Can there be healing without a reckoning? The guilty must atone. Which story are we repeating? Whose fault are the injuries? Who needs a beating for those mistreating? I'm sure it's them, not me. Oh, and who's gonna detonate the time bomb that's raging in every heart? Who will survive? Who'll be alive when the next time bomb ticking starts? Was there a moment somewhere in history Abel was saved by Cain? When will the whole world enter recovery, addicted to placing blame? There's not much hope I am seeing. I'm sure who caused my injuries? Who needs a beating for the mistreating? I'm sure it's them, not me. Oh, and
John Batdorf, Time Bombs. We told the story prior to that, how crazy everything has gotten in the country, and we can only hope and pray for better times ahead. John, you're going to be coming into town. Give the folks the information one more time.
Yeah, I'll be at the Johnson Studio House Concerts, and that's in Galveston. And you can call Pam at 936-661-4313 and James at 936-661-6332. And you can always check on johnbatdorfmusic.com. I have all the information for all the shows. And I look forward to coming back, and I hope some people show up. I'm really, I love coming to Texas and playing. I miss the Swerfa shows and stuff, but I'll be back. So this is going to be great. 3 gigs in Texas. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm going to do my best to talk my wife into making that drive to Galveston and coming to the show myself.
That'd be great.
Can You See Him? One of my favorite Batdorf and Rodney songs. We're going to close the show out. John, thanks again for always being so nice, great interviews, and you're just such a humble, wonderful man, in addition to being a fantastic singer. My God, how many people from our genre of music of the late 60s, early 70s can hit these notes? I can only think of 2, John Anderson and John Batdorf.
Although that's quite the compliment. I love John Anderson. He's great, man.
Thanks again. We'll see you in a week or 2. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Tom.
You're
Appreciate
quite
the
welcome.
time, man.
Stick around. Up next, George Ensle.
Looking towards the future, I see changes coming near. People smiling, laughing, joking, disregarding fear. Can you see him watching you and me? Can you see him waiting for the time? Come join hands and walk together, sing out for our love, spread a little love and kindness for our friends above. Can you see him watching you and me? Can you see him waiting for the
Can You See Him? John Batdorf. Up next, as promised, old friend of Songwriter Studio, Mr. George Ensle. George, you have released, 15, 16 records, maybe more, inducted into the Houston Folk Music Archives, the Corpus Christi Songwriters Hall of Fame, South Austin Pop Culture Museum, as well as others, a constant at Southwest Regional Folk Alliance. Every other year you play main stage, and in Houston, you're an icon. Born and raised, lived for years in Houston in the Montrose area, right by our old radio station on Love It with Towns Van Zandt and Guy, and many others cut their teeth right here at Anderson Fair. You're coming back to town, and you got a brand new record out, Touchstones. You did some work with John Macy. Tell us how that collaboration happened.
Well, he's got a label that he created called Coastal Bend Records. He has very generously asked me to come be on the label and record down there in Rockport at this great state-of-the-art studio he set up. It's a wonderful label, and I'm proud to be on it, especially because of the fact that they are doing some pro bono work with new, young, emerging artists, along with folks like me and Shake Russell and Jeff Blankenhorn, Michael O'Connor, Libby Coke. But they're actually recording, producing, and pressing up and packaging first-time albums for several young songwriters at no charge to them to kickstart their career. So it's a wonderful label. John Macy's doing great things, and I'm proud to be on it.
You know, George, I interviewed John Macy, 6 or 8 weeks ago, and we actually featured 2 tracks each off of, I believe, 5 of the new releases coming out of his studio. Yours was one. And he's not only a super generous human being, but he's just the nicest, humble guy and one heck of a pedal steel player.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, he plays all over your record. I'm not sure if he plays on all the tracks. Go ahead.
He's on 6 cuts, I think.
6 out of the 10. Yeah, that's pretty good. George, we've got so much to talk about, but I want to play as many songs off the new record as I can. Let's start out with track number 3, Boxcar Charlie. I saw you do this live on main stage at Southwest Regional Folk Alliance. It's one of the tracks and songs that really tugged at my heartstrings because of the nature of the song and the hobo, Boxcar Charlie, who saves the school bus. Why don't you give the listening audience a little background on Boxcar Charlie?
Well, I live in a train town. I live in San Marcos and spend quite a bit of time watching trains go by in the stopped lane. And I became interested. I've always been interested, of course, in hobos, but I became interested in graffiti and started doing some research on graffiti. And I actually met a gentleman who still rides boxcars, told me about the underground culture that's still out there. But it's just been a fascinating subculture of America, and everybody from Jack London to James Michener has ridden on the trains. So I kind of don't know exactly where the concept came from, but I just sort of let the character take over and write himself and his story into this piece.
And I would like to make mention John Macy's just eerie pedal steel playing on this track. It really adds to the whole mode and mood of the song. I think the guy is genius. Let's listen to track number 3 off the brand new album, Touchstones. New music, George Ensle. Again, this is Boxcar Charlie.
I hopped at 2 a.m. out of Dallas, heading for L.A. I jumped a slow-moving boxcar that looked empty and safe. I unrolled my bedroll and got settled for the night. And out of the shadows stepped the ghost of a man asking for a light. The match lit the face of an old soul with the eyes of a child. He said, "I'm Boxcar Charlie," tipped his Bogart hat and smiled. I said I didn't have a moniker, I was too new to the game. He said, "You're Texano," and that's how I got my name. He said, "I ride the midnight rails every now and then. When there's a need, I come to keep bad things from happening. And tonight I'm gonna ride with you until it's time I'm gone. there's trouble brewing up ahead. You'll find out later on. He stepped back in the shadows. I climbed in my bedroll. I had a switchblade in my boot, pulled it out and held it close. As the night wore on, I finally fell into a troubled sleep, wondering just what's up ahead for Charlie and me. Next thing I knew, the dawn was slipping through the boxcar door. We pulled into Abilene and slowed down more and more. He said, go find the conductor, tell him Boxcar Charlie said, listen up and you can stop the killing up ahead. Say the barricade is broken just outside of town. Lightning struck the motor and the arm ain't coming down. The warning lights won't flash and there's a school bus full of kids that are gonna get hit by the 810 highballing, God forbid. Well, I told the conductor just what Charlie said. He called the 810 driver who was flying up ahead. Got the message just in time to slow down the train. Watched that school bus cross the tracks, and that's how close they came. The conductor said, you're a blessed young man to have Charlie ride with you. He's the hobo guardian angel, well known by beaux and crews. He gave his life when he pushed a deaf bull clear from the tracks. Back at 35, and praise the Lord, he keeps coming back. Now it's written in the good book, Hebrews 13:2. Be kind to a stranger in everything you do. And the next time that you meet one out on the street, remember that he just might be Boxcar Charlie.
Boxcar Charlie. Brand new music, George Ensle off of Touchstones, his brand new album released on the Coastal Bend Records, John Macy's new label, and doing some killer pedal steel on that. I've got the next track queued up, very next on the album, track 4, Grandpa's Garage. We spoke a little bit off mic about whether or not it's autobiographical. And go ahead, George, you explain.
Well, everything's autobiographical that I write, even if it, John Steinbeck said, just because it didn't necessarily happen doesn't necessarily mean it isn't true. I can defer to that point of view whenever I need to. But yeah, it's a song about time, time being, and as Kinky Friedman once said, time is the money of love. And well, I've been blessed to have raised not only 3 children, but then 4 grandchildren in our household as well. So yeah, it's autobiographical.
Let's let the listening audience make their own interpretations of the song. I do want to make mention Marty Muse's dobro work on this is just killer. He is so tasteful.
Yeah, I know. He's been playing with me a bunch. I love playing with him.
Kimmy Rhodes does some killer harmonies as well. I think you did a real good job of placing the harmonies in this song.
Thank you.
Let's place this song up in the rack right now, queued up and ready to go. Grandpa's Garage. Brand new music, George Ensle.
It smelled like WD-40 and Old Spice aftershave. His suburban sanctuary, the original man cave. It's where he kept his memories and where a lot of mine were made. At the end of his driveway, well, I spend my Saturdays in Grandpa's garage, where I learned about love between an old man and a kid, like an old dog and a pup. I got my life lessons sitting on the tailgate of his Dodge, and all the tools I needed in Grandpa's garage. It was a grand old man's museum, tacked up snapshots from the war. John 3:16 and a Polaroid of Grandma on the door. His workbench stood like a shrine for good. He taught the golden rule and how to measure twice and cut once. It was my church and school. It was Grandpa's garage where I learned about love between an old man and a kid, like an old dog and a pup. I got my life lessons sitting on the tailgate of his Dodge, and all the tools I needed in Grandpa's garage. Took the time to show me how to use my hands. He took the time to listen when I didn't understand. He could make things just like new when my world fell apart. He fixed my broken bike and my broken heart. In Grandpa's garage, where I learned about love between an old man and a kid, like an old dog and a pup. I got my life lessons sitting on the tailgate of his Dodge, and all the tools I needed in Grandpa's garage. Got all the tools I needed in Grandpa's garage.
Grandpa's Garage, brand new music, George Ensle. George, we were speaking a little off mic about click tracks or no click tracks. I think this one you said you did record with a click track, and you also did an acoustic solo version. Why don't you let the listening audience know a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, when I laid the song down, they've got this, I fell in love with this Sony microphone, which I used on my last two albums before this, which is from the early 60s. It's a condenser mic and a tube mic. Incredible Sony mic. It's so warm, and it really likes my voice so much. So I sang into that, and then had two mics on my guitar, and laid down a click track, which is, a background metronome, if you will, but such that it's not distractive, and sang and played at the same time to that click. In so doing, it has the authenticity of a live performance, but it has the capability of being able to be overdubbed, which is what I did. I laid down the bass, the congas, the lead instruments, the vocals, harmonies, and everything over that. Because it had a click, it had a cohesiveness and a consistency, And we went ahead and printed up a solo version of just me and the guitar and me and keyboard. For folks, if they're interested in having one of those as well, it's kind of limited edition.
George, let's talk about On the Courthouse Square. This is basically a rag, certainly a rag tune, which I'm quite fond of. I play fingerstyle rag myself, but this is a little bit different style for you. And you brought in Kurt Balmer for fiddle. It's just killing it. And again, John Macy on pedal steel. Give the listening audience a little background on the Courthouse Square.
This is one of those songs that I had lyrically. I had the idea, and then lyrically, I wrote it. It's a story song, but I tried several different versions to have the right prosody for the representation of the song, and I wound up something with a little humor to it, a little kick to it, a little 2/4 time thing, swings a little, and it worked out real well. I was really pleased.
I love this song, one of my favorite off the record, off Touchstones, George Ensle. This is On the Courthouse Square.
Courthouse Square in the summertime, shade of a white oak tree. Them old men sat on benches, living history, whittling and spitting tobacco juice into coffee cans, solving the problems of the world as only old men can. At the cafe across the street, I told the waitress them men seemed to be the picture of contentment living out an old man's dream. She laughed and said it wasn't always that way. Now you might not believe, but just a while back, all that sat on them benches was white oak leaves. It all started when some ladies got together after church, decided to clean up the courthouse square, so they went straight to work on a plan to ban spitting and whittling. They's gonna put up signs, no whittling or spitting, $100 fine. Well, the signs went up and the men went home till their wives started to shout. They run their foot and in the way, kicked their sorry spitting cans out. The old men had nowhere to go where they might congregate. The barber shop was way too small when it's too loud for this cafe. So they met down at Lucy's bar, started drinking right at 10, playing dominoes and checkers until the alcohol kicked in. Then they'd fight about whose turn it was and call each other cheats. Lucy called their wives and said, "Come get 'em or I'm calling the police." No one knows where those signs went, they disappeared overnight. Lester thought he saw some old ladies pull them up in the courthouse lights. Sure enough, the next day, them old men was back again, sitting on them benches, spitting and whittling. Now the moral to this story and the message in this song is that sometimes there are some things that's best just left alone, like feral hogs, sleeping dogs, snakes and mama hens, and old men sitting on the courthouse square, spitting and whittling.
Brand new music, George Ensle. The name of the new album is Touchstones. Name of that track, On the Courthouse Square. I love that ragtime music. Great fiddle work by Kurt Baumer. We're running low on time, George. I've got two more tracks I'd love to get on. Let's talk a little bit about Ballad of Bigfoot Wallace. This was a co-write. Go ahead.
You wrote this? Yes, sir. With Richard Dobson, one of my favorite Houston running buddies. And I told him the story of the black bean incident, and he said, we've just got to write that. So it's the long and the short of it.
I love the story behind it.
Piece of Texas history.
White beans or black beans? What's it going to be, George? Let's play that track right now off the brand new album, Touchstones, George Ensle. I urge the listening audience to listen to the lyrics.
My name is Bigfoot Wallace. My brother died at Goliad. I come west of Texas, and I was fighting mad. Gonna shoot old Santa Anna right between the eyes to avenge my brother's murder. I would not be denied. Then in 1842, when I got my chance, we was captured in the town of Mere down on the Rio Grande. We escaped into the desert, but surrendered in the end. They played El Gallo as they lined up our men. Beans from a clay jar, one by one we reached inside. Draw a white bean and you lived, draw a black bean and you died. Well, some men wrote their mothers, and some men wrote their wives. I guess my luck was running strong, the bean I drew was wise. 1 in 10 drew black beans and faced the firing squad. It was 17 against the wall, prepared to meet their God. Beans from a clay jar, one by one we reached inside. Draw a white bean and you live, draw a black bean and you die. After that I cleaned out horse thieves coming up from Mexico. I drove a stage through Comanche country all the way to El Paso. And I got some revenge in that Mexican-American war. The one who held the clay jar started evening up the score. Texas Ranger, I wore that badge with pride. The town of Bigfoot, Texas is where I now reside. People come from miles around to hear about my life. I'd not be here to tell it, but the bean I drew was white. My name is Bigfoot Wallace, my brother died at Goliad. I come west to Texas, and I was fighting mad.
Ballad of Bigfoot Wallace, co-write with Mr. Dobson, your old buddy. I love the story behind that. George, we're out of time. Got just enough time to give these folks your social media information, website, scheduling. You've got a CD release party coming down here in Houston. Give the folks all that information. Go ahead.
Yes, it's georgeensle.com, ENSLE. And it's February 6th, I'm going to be playing my old haunt there in Houston, Anderson Fair, and doing a CD release celebration of Touchstones at that time, and possibly we'll have vinyl by then. I'm pretty sure we're going to go with vinyl here pretty quick, and love for folks to come out and be part of that show and sign CD from me, and probably going to sign some posters too. And John Macy might be there. I may have a few pickers there to help back me up for that. I'll be doing the Corpus Christi Songwriter Festival again like a week after that, mid-February. My social media is I'm on Facebook and Instagram, and it's just George Ensle and George Ensle Music. Love for folks to get on our mailing list to the website, georgeensle.com. Always appreciate your support, Tom, and friendship and playing my work, and always enjoy being in Houston and playing in Houston and playing for Houston folks.
Well, it's always a pleasure to interview you, George. I urge the listening audience to check out his website and schedule, see when he's coming to town. We're going to close the show out with Hill Country Rhapsody, a little two-step waltz here. You added track number 2, actually, off the album, Touchstones. And thank you for being our guest. Big shout out to John Batdorf for being our first guest. And John, thanks for the interview. And George, hopefully I'll see you at Anderson Fair in February.
February 6th, yeah. And this features Kenny Rhodes with an incredible harmony arrangement on this song. I'm really pleased with. Love Kimmy.
Until next week, Songwriter Studio, Tom Tranchilla. Be kind, be safe. Please stick around for Pan-African Journal with Akua up next.
is singing his sweet melody. The mockingbird is singing along. The turtle dove's cooing a cool harmony. It's got the makings of an orchestral song. Creek stones are rippling with the rhythm of spring, and I'm finding reasons to ride and finding joy in life's simpler things, while losing all track of time. Here in my hill country rhapsody, a new day is coming alive with the sounds of a symphony, filling the clear Texas sky, playing on a breeze through live oak trees, and I'm tuning into the world and getting turned on to my favorite song, and getting high on my favorite girl. It's just a small ensemble playing a suite. It's a waltz and a two-step combined. The maestro is spot on, never missing a beat, and the light show is blowing my mind. Soft wind is whistling across a blanket of blue. Bonnets in the dawn, it's sublime. So let's dance cares away in this wondrous display. Won't you put your fine hand in mine and step to my hill country rhapsody? A new day is coming alive with the sounds of a symphony, filling the clear Texas sky, played on a breeze through live oak trees,